We are live. Anyway, welcome to healthierlife.tv. My name is Paul Bursey and I'm in London. My co-presenter.
Welcome, everybody. I trust you've all had a beautiful day and beautiful week. Warren Connolly here, coming to you from Santander in Hungary.
But originally you're from South Africa.
I am indeed from the east coast of South Africa.
Okay. It's all east coast. There's no west coast, is there?
No, we've got a huge west coast, massive west coast. But not the same kind of west coast that you get.
I get it. Yeah.
Ours is the other way around. Our east is like the west coast, and our west is like the east coast.
It's all the same coast, though, isn't it? Anyway, yes. So, healthierlife.tv. What are we talking about today? Well, we thought that we would look deep inside ourselves and come up with things that we suffer from. Okay. And
I don't suffer from anything.
Yeah, you do.
Except for fools.
Well, you may not now, but
I suffer from fools.
This, for me, is within the last few days that I've suffered from this. So you can't get much newer than that. So, okay. So the first thing we're going to talk about two things. The first thing we're going to talk about is Raynaud's disease. Okay. And I spelt it wrong, putting an L before the D. So I've... Warren smacked my wrist and told me I'd spelt it wrong. And,
naughty boy.
Anyway, let's talk about Raynaud's disease. And let's see if you identify with it and didn't realise the name of it.
Yeah.
Raynaud's phenomenon, I got that right, is common and does not usually cause severe problems. Well, it's not nice because what it basically is it's poor circulation. And And the thing is, my van that I drive, okay, so I'm having a break from having flashy cars and things like that. So I'm driving a van that cost me £500, okay? Now, it doesn't sound very wealthy, does it? But I wanted a car to take to football. Now, the thing is, the reason I say that is because there's no heater in the van. During the winter, you know, you're cold from refereeing football, and you want to get in a warm environment. Well, my van is not the place to be a warm environment. So what I noticed was that although I had gloves on, when I took the gloves off, my hands were the fingers were white, completely white. And the other bottom half of my hand towards the thumb was red. And I thought, just been a bit cold. I haven't really taken care of my hands. And but this happened about half a dozen times. And basically, I looked it up. I didn't go to the doctors, didn't need to. Okay, so I looked it up and I realised I had Raynaud's disease. Okay, and I really wasn't keeping warm enough, and that's what the problem was. Now, sometimes it can be a sign of a more serious condition, and we'll get to that. But so first of all, what you need to do if you have any problems like that on your hands, you can't see it at the moment, but the white bits were, there. Okay. But what you need to do is check to see if it is actually Raynaud's first. And now Raynaud's affects your blood circulation when you're cold or anxious or stressed. Okay. So you don't have to be cold. Your fingers and toes may change colour. And the colour you're looking for is a whitish colour. Now, there are some other symptoms. There is a bit of pain involved. And again, I can only go on personal experience. Numbness, pins and needles, and difficulty moving the affected area. So I suppose the only one I didn't really suffer from was the moving the affected area. Okay. But it takes quite a bit of time to get it going again and warm up and everything else. Now, as I said, the skin may turn white or a lighter colour as blood flow is restricted as it comes back, and obviously the colour returns. So I'd be very interested to hear from anyone who thinks they may have it, and maybe we can have a little chat about it. But there should be enough information on here that we can help. So, yeah, so have you ever suffered from Raynaud's?
I can't say I have ever before in the past or now, no. But Andrea, I believe Andrea's got it because she has the same symptoms which you're talking about now, and I was doing some research into this before. And yeah, it sounds like, I mean, based on the research I was doing, in the US, they say about 5 to 10% of the population has it. So, it's going to differ from place to place, but nevertheless, yeah. Also, you mentioned about bad circulation. I read that they say that the reason for the bad circulation is because the blood vessels thin. They thin too much on the extremities. So it can also be on the toes as well, not necessarily just on the fingers.
I was going to get to them.
Okay, sorry. But it's the thinning of the blood vessels that causes that, they say, and it can also even lead to gangrene.
In very, very extreme cases. So it doesn't happen very often at all. It's normally coupled together with something else to cause gangrene.
I guess that's part of the secondary condition, right? Yeah,
basically. I mean, I would say even the third. It was the next one on, But anyway, if your skin color is different to mine, okay, if you're much darker skinned, then it may show out as just a pale color, not necessarily white or cream, but something a bit paler. So you'd notice a difference. So you've got to pay attention to obviously parts of your body in that.
Of course, you should do all the time in any case, right?
Yeah. Now, there are other places. We know the hands are the big one, but obviously feet. If you don't pay attention to your feet and keep them warm, it also affects your ears, or can do your ears, your nose, your lips, and your nipples.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, I've got to say that the rest of my body seems all right.
I just had a memory flashback. Sorry.
No, don't go there. Don't go there. Right. Now, the actual symptoms themselves, they may last a few minutes, or in my case, it's for like 10 to 15 minutes.
Oh wow.
Or it can be for hours. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's something to pay attention to. Raynaud's is sometimes caused by another health condition, taking medicines, is it? Or
is that because of the thinning effect of some medications?
Maybe.
Or what?
It could be a blood thinner, like what's the one? Warfarin.
Okay. I have no idea, but okay.
No, it's just I don't know that personally. It was just the research that was done. And also, if you're a man or a woman who does manual work and you're using a vibrating tool like pneumatic drill
or jackhammer or something like that.
Things that you use to break up concrete and things like that. So continual use can affect your hands or feet or whatever like that. So very, very important. So okay. So as we said, the symptoms are pins and needles, last a few minutes. Possible causes: resting or sleeping on part of the body. So it could be that it's not really Raynaud's as in the true sense of the word, but you could have just been laying on something and, we've all done that, haven't we? We've laid on something. When you wake up, you can't move it, or it's acting a bit weird, and
you slap yourself on the face and you don't feel anything.
That works. Not necessarily for Raynaud's, but it definitely works.
This winter I experienced for the very first time, even with wearing gloves, like painful fingers, like really painful from the cold. It's the first time I've ever experienced that. So I don't. That could be age.
In my case, right. So breathing too quickly is another thing that may give you the idea that you're suffering from Raynaud's. Trembling hands, pins and needles. But in this particular case, the fingers do not change color, and that possible cause could be hyperventilation.
Okay.
Right? We've also got where you've got burning and itchy swelling on the fingers, toes, and things like that. It happens after being cold and gets worse as you warm up. And there's another thing called chilblains that it could be, not necessarily Raynaud's. And that's where the small itchy red patches that can appear after you've been in the cold, and they usually clear up on their own.
Okay.
But you have to see the doctor if they don't. Okay. So there's do's and don'ts with Raynaud's, and this is the do's. Do keep your home warm. So if you're like me and you don't mind a cold house, it doesn't help with Raynaud's. Okay. Wear warm clothes during the cold weather, especially on your hands and feet, but I would say all over. I must admit, I was doing football refereeing in the cold without gloves on as well at one stage, so that didn't help.
Sure.
Here's a good one for you. Exercise regularly. Now, where have you heard that before? We never say that, do we? So
not on the news, that's for sure.
Exercise helps improve circulation.
Yes, of course.
So get out there and do a bit.
So even if your fingers feel warm just for that time that you're training, it must be a blessing in its own.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
The other thing is that you should try breathing exercises. Now, obviously, we try breathing exercises when we do meditation and yoga, so yeah, it's very, very important. So, like exercise is very, very important for your circulation.
True.
So, okay,
Very true.
And the last one, and you haven't heard this before either, is eat a healthy, balanced diet. Yeah, that old one. Those few come in there, and so it's very, very important. Now, things you don't do, and there's only two of them really, okay, and that is smoking.
Oh wow! Okay.
Poor circulation. My suggestion, and it's up to you, of course, is do not smoke. Okay? Or at the very least, start reducing. The other thing is don't have too much caffeine, Coca-Cola, or chocolate, as this may trigger the symptoms of Raynaud's. Now,
chocolate may trigger the symptoms.
Yes.
Wow.
So the reason I say that is because when you hear me talk about treats and cheating, I was eating too much chocolate. I do drink tea. I do drink the odd cup of coffee, but I don't drink cola. So what I've done now is I've allowed myself 2 cups of tea a day, possibly a coffee.
Okay.
No chocolate.
Oh. But what about using or drinking like a caffeine free, like a herbal tea or fruit tea or something?
Anything that hasn't got caffeine in it doesn't come under that heading anyway. But
then you can have 2 cups of coffee. Then you can have 2 cups of coffee, or you can have a cup of coffee and chocolate.
Yeah, but even decaf has got caffeine in it.
Sure, but so what? No, but
reduced amount.
But if you're drinking 2 cups of tea and you're limiting yourself to 1 cup of coffee and no chocolate, because you're drinking 2 cups of tea, you can still drink 2 cups of tea and have some chocolate and possibly even a coffee as well, if you're drinking non-caffeinated tea.
Yeah.
Okay, look, coffee is different, obviously, because it's coffee.
Yes, I mean, look,
tea.
You should, even though everything I've looked at said you should have at least 1 cup of coffee a day.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's good for you.
That is good for you.
So, okay. So, there's a couple of last little bits before I finish up. And one is when to see the GP. Okay. Obviously, you know that you can go there anytime you want. All right. Not necessarily when you've got a lockdown, but generally speaking. All right. So, if your symptoms are very bad and they're getting worse, then you should go and see the GP. Right. If you find that this Raynaud's is really, really affecting your daily life, go and see the GP. Okay. If your symptoms are only on one side of the body, then definitely go and see the GP or the doctor or a health professional.
Especially if it's only on one side, because there's something
there's something badly wrong.
Yeah, something else is happening.
Okay, and it doesn't mean to say you only got half your body outside the door. But now, also, if you have joint pain, skin rashes, and muscle weakness, any ones of those, and you've got Raynaud's as well, I would say again, go along to the doctor, sit down and discuss it with him or her. If you're over 30 and get symptoms of Raynaud's for the first time, if it's the first time you've had it, go and check it out. Keep in touch with your doctor and just let him know what's happening. If your child is under 12 and has symptoms of Raynaud's, then go to the doctors. All right? Because it's important, because it doesn't really seem to affect kids as such, but it could be very, very important. And there could be a reason for it.
It can also be hereditary. So there is a hereditary link to it as well. So it could be in kids. Yeah, if it's hereditary, then you most likely will find it's going to be in a kid. Do you know where the name comes from?
It's probably a person who found it.
Yeah, it's a French physician.
Yeah, I think I did read that, but I didn't write it down. So it's like
Maurice Raynaud.
Maurice. Okay.
1872, I think, without looking. I think it was 1872, 1876. Which one was it? No, 1862.
Okay. You throw 10 years around it, look, it's not a problem. when you get older, it is. So if your symptoms are very bad or getting worse, a GP may prescribe you a medicine to help your circulation, such as nifedipine or something like that. Okay. Anyway,
you can't just bandy medical names around like that.
No, yeah. Nifedipine, which is used to treat high blood pressure.
Oh, no.
Not good. Anyway,
take the natural path as much as you can.
Yeah, some people need to take this medicine every day. Others may use it to prevent Raynaud's. Okay, for example, during cold weather, depends on how bad it is, I suppose. I don't know. A GP may also arrange tests. Okay, so it's very, but because it could be a sign of a more serious condition such as rheumatic arthritis. Is that right? Is that what you call it? And rheumatoid arthritis. And the other one is lupus. So, okay, so that's that. So what I did, the last thing I did was I sorted out a treatment plan for myself. Now, I've still got the option of going to the doctor. I've got here my last attack. It sounds terrible, doesn't it? My last attack was 8 p.m. on Friday, the 30th of September.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But since I wrote this, I had another little bit as well. But
okay.
But it's getting more. Seems to be getting a little more frequent. I suppose as the hot weather comes along, maybe it won't be. I don't know. But
look, I mean, I've seen Andrea experience it in warm weather. It hasn't been something that's exclusive to the cold weather.
Cold weather doesn't help, obviously. So
no, naturally, yeah.
I mean, it normally is weather related, and that's why I say normally, because it's always the person that will prove you wrong, isn't it? So, okay. So my goal, to keep track, to journal and review regularly. Okay.
Good.
So that was number one. Number two was to keep my home warmer. Okay. Not necessarily when it's warm, but also to wear warm clothing, which wasn't a problem because I wore warm clothing all winter, 4 or 5 layers. So that wasn't. Okay. But I'm paying attention now to my feet and hands. Even now indoors, I've got trainers on, which I don't normally.
Well, I'd say if you've got some comfortable socks on, that should be sufficient for you.
You can also use hand warmers.
Yeah,
you can get a pack of hand warmers quite cheap. I'm in the process of purchasing proper gloves for Raynaud's.
Okay.
Right, which are either titanium or copper. I'm not sure which one, but it's one of the metals.
I got titanium inside here.
That's due to a break, though, is it?
Yeah, shatter. Yeah.
Yeah. we're quite a couple of encyclopedias, really. I mean, got onto the homochromatosis yet? No, that was another time.
That's a big word like marmalade.
Yeah, I have to think about these words. There's so many of them. So continue to exercise regularly. Continue breathing exercises, relaxing, and meditation. That's like it's normal for me to do that. To tweak my healthy diet. So I'm going to be doing that, and other things that can improve my circulation. Reduce the caffeine. We heard, cut out the chocolate. No coffee. No, I'm still going to have 1 cup of coffee a day. Reduce tea to twice a day. Consider green tea. I'll put that down here.
Look, green tea has got caffeine as much as black.
Yes,
black
I know.
Tea, yeah?
But there are other ones. I mean, I'll look at them all. I'm going to look at them all. And
Get rooibos. Get rooibos tea.
What
because one? Rooibos tea.
Oh, is that South African?
It's a South African plant. Yeah.
Yes, I know. Yeah. So, and last thing was monitor the progress, and that's about it, really. It's hopefully it's not anything serious, and you can deal with it. So, anything else you want to say at all about that one before we hand over to you, old boy?
Oh boy. Yeah, one other thing I saw when I was reading up on it on Raynaud's is that people can also develop digital ulcers.
Ooh, God, what's that?
Yeah, so you get sores on your fingers,
right,
your fingertips and stuff like that through Raynaud's. And as I mentioned, also gangrene is another possibility, but that would be part of a secondary cause.
Yeah.
Raynaud's would be you would probably have diabetes, and then Raynaud's would be something a secondary condition.
So the first cause might be walking in the Arctic.
Yeah, living in the Arctic Circle would not be a pleasant thing if you've got this condition.
I know. A lot of people from that.
No joking. I don't think it would be pleasant at all.
No. I'm not joking about that. No, but I laugh about my own.
And they call it a phenomenon as well, as much as a disease, because it is a phenomenon. It's not understood really. It's not really understood as to why.
No.
Yeah.
Because I suppose if they understood it, they may be able to help it.
Yeah.
Rather than.
But it's the same as scoliosis too. 80%, and I'll get onto scoliosis now, but 80% of scoliosis cases are unknown. Doctors don't know why people develop scoliosis specifically in 80% of the cases. So
over to you, Mr. Starr.
Mr. Scoliosis. Yeah, I'll tell you my story relating to scoliosis as well first, to start off with that. Most of my life, since I can remember, I've experienced physical pain ever since I was a child. I've had some kind of physical pain symptoms and whatever else. And it used to be like in my shoulders. I used to be very tense in my neck and my shoulders as a kid, and it would be painful, the tension. And then it developed into pain in my back, and I kind of just rode with it because from a young age I'd become comfortable with pain, if you want to say that. And it just literally, it started when I was in high school. I was playing rugby, and I developed a neck problem from playing rugby because I used to play tight head prop when I was at school and that. And it developed. It started there initially in the neck and the shoulders with the pain, and then it went to my back, and predominantly my low back, and even the middle part of my back. I would also experience pain like sitting up. If I was sitting up without a chair, I would have a lot of pain in the middle of my back. And in those days when I was a kid, growing up as a teenager, you just got on with it. Nobody sent you to a physiotherapist or a doctor or anything like that. You just got on with it. And one day when I was in my mid-20s, I believe it was, I was seeing a physiotherapist. I was seeing a physiotherapist regularly because of the pain in my hips and my back. And he said to me one day, he said, "By the way, do you know you've got scoliosis?" I'm like, "What, okay?" He says, you got scoliosis. So I'm like, what's that? And he said to me, that's like a curvature in your spine. So it's either an S curvature or it's a C curvature. And I was like, really? He says, yeah, look at and he showed me. He said, look at your physique, look at the balance. Your hips are always out of balance. And it was so much so that I used to dislocate my right hip from doing kickboxing training and taekwondo sometimes. Mostly from kickboxing training. I used to dislocate my right hip quite frequently. And this was because of the imbalance in my hips. And if you look at me when I'm standing, these are some of the symptoms. You'll notice, like, from behind, my one shoulder blade sticks out more than the other one. You can see my one shoulder and you might even be able to see it in the camera here. My one shoulder is significantly longer. This one's shorter, and this one's longer here. Yeah. And that's an imbalance. You can see even my neck, and I've got a long neck too. So it doesn't really help. And then the other thing is that, you can get cases of scoliosis where it's what do they call it? It's like a structural scoliosis. So where you're born, you have typically one leg that's longer than the other leg, as an example again. And that's a structural scoliosis. So the spine is literally rigid and you can't reverse that. But for me, when I knew that I had scoliosis, it was like, okay, now I can learn how to start dealing with it. But why I wanted to touch on that is because both with Raynaud's and scoliosis, they are quite prevalent. It's pretty common for people to have it, but very few people actually know that they have it. And even if they do know that they have it, they think that they've got it for the wrong reasons. And I'll get to that in a moment. But on top of that, they just don't find out, or the doctors don't divulge too much with them, and they might send them to a specialist like a biokineticist who will help with. Biokineticists are amazing. If you've got scoliosis, if you know you've got scoliosis, and you've never been to a biokineticist before, find one in your area. Okay, I'm sure in the UK there's plenty.
What was it called again?
Biokineticist.
Oh, kinesis. Yeah.
And not kinesis, but biokineticist. Yeah, so they work.
How's it spelled?
Kineticist. Bio, as in biology.
Yeah.
Kineticist.
All right.
Yeah, kineticist. Yeah, and these guys, they're kind of like a mixture between. They are doctors, and they understand the physiology. They understand the biomechanics of the body deeply. Physiotherapy, chiropractic work. They understand all of that stuff, and these guys will do an alignment test with you, and they will be able to show you really where the problem lies in your spine and what it could be as well. Because sometimes it's you get muscular dystrophy. It could be in cases with people that have cerebral palsy. They'll have scoliosis. It could be people that have got what's the other one? What's other condition? Spinifer.
Bifida.
Yeah, bifida. Yeah, spina bifida. And then on top of that, you've got birth defects. It could be from a birth defect, could be from an infection, could be from a tumor, could be from muscle spasms. Muscle spasms are hard. They can be strong enough that it can actually deform the spine. For example, I had an injury when I was in Dubai. I ended up in traction for my spine. Okay. And when I initially had the injury, I was laying down. My trainers that worked with me, they laid me down on the ground. I was working in a gym in Dubai, and they lay me down on the ground in a fetal position, recovery position. Okay. And when the doctors, when paramedics came to move me to the trolley bed, what do you call it, like the gurney, yeah. When they came to move me, they couldn't open me up because the spasms in my muscles had got so tight that they just couldn't open my back up. They couldn't straighten me out. They couldn't open my legs. That's how tight muscle spasms can get and how strong they can be. So for that reason as well, if you're struggling with muscle spasms, or if you're living with muscle spasms for an extended period of time, that can cause the spine to become, irregularly shaped into a S shape or C shape. So these are your kind of like your structural scoliosis. Then your non-structural scoliosis is something where you're born with this, you're born with the basic spine function is not normal, but it can be. So the spine functions normally, but it doesn't look like it's normal, okay, in its appearance. And this is where you have one leg longer than the other one, or you get muscle spasms and that. And also inflammation as well is another big one. So if you got appendicitis, that can also be a cause of it. When I was doing some research into this for this call, it kind of surprised me in many ways that things like tumors or infections and even muscle spasms. But then I thought about it myself and I thought, okay, hang on, I have the experience from that when I know how my muscle spasms in my spine, when I tore all my muscles and my ligaments and my tendons, how that caused my whole body to go into spasm. So yeah, these are some of the causes for it. All right. There are some myths around this as well, Paul. And many people think that kids that are carrying heavy school bags and things like that will develop scoliosis. This is not really true. Or bad posture. Kids with bad posture can develop scoliosis. That's not. You're going to develop a bad posture. It doesn't mean you're going to develop scoliosis. But it's not good for kids to walk around with heavy school bags in any case, because most cases of scoliosis, the onset of scoliosis happens around the age of 10 to 20. And that period where there's a lot of growth spurts going on.
Yeah.
And I think this is when it happened with me, when I was playing rugby at school and I was growing, and because I was quite short when I was younger, and then they put me into the prop position because I was short and squat, and then I grew, all right, and I started to grow and get bigger and taller, and it just happened. And I think that's what happened with me, and that's where I may have developed it. I don't know for sure, but I believe that's possibly one of the reasons. So it was just a weakness in that area, in those areas of the spine, and with my growth spurts and the impact of playing rugby, a contact sport like that, scrumming regularly. I think that all were compounded effects in it. So you got to with kids. It's quite more prevalent than I think people realize. So you just got to be bear in mind with your children. Or if you are a youngster and you're listening to this, just bear in mind what you're doing with your body when you're training, when you're exercising is great for scoliosis. Exercising is a fantastic thing to do, like Pilates or yoga, stretching, but clever stretching, good stretching. Not just stretching for the sake of stretching, stretching for the right reasons and the right methods and things like that. And as Paul mentioned as well, breathing, meditation, these are all great ways to help relax your body. So if you're relaxing the body, what will happen is the muscles, when you get scoliosis and your spine goes into that curvature, okay, is the muscles, they're no longer in the position in which they're meant to be. So you could have muscles that are imbalanced like this. You got one side, the muscles up here, and the other side, the muscles down there because of the scoliosis. Or the muscle could be even out here. And this is where you get like the shoulder blade pops out, or the one rib cage sits out further than the other one, okay? Now, when that happens, just think about what that's doing to your physiology, the energy that it takes. And in many cases, you can be experiencing muscular fatigue or just energy fatigue consistently because of the scoliosis. It's pain at the end of the day. And those muscles being shifted like this is not natural. So the body's having to continuously fight, but compensate. Exactly. Yeah. So these are important things to bear in mind. It's if you're experiencing a lot of back pain, middle of the back, lower back. Now they say lower back, but I know from my own experience with scoliosis, definitely in the middle of my back. You get a lot of discomfort if my posture is not correct and I'm in a seated position. It's just like a constant twinging pull on my shoulder blades, and it's a very uncomfortable feeling. And then on top of that, fatigue. If you've got fatigue on a regular basis and you have the back pain, then perhaps see a physiotherapist. Go to a physiotherapist or a chiropractor and ask them just to take a look at your spine, take a look at your back. There could be something in that, and it doesn't mean that it's going to change your life forever. once you find out you've got scoliosis, if you've got it. It just means that you need to look and reassess at how you do things. How do you stand? One thing I need to be very mindful of is how I'm standing. So I'm always standing evenly on both my feet. I don't lean to one side. If I do, I catch myself very quickly. But typically, I'm always 99% of the time, I stand both feet evenly balanced. Because if I'm leaning to one side, my body's having to compensate again. And that's not useful to my hips, to my spine and my neck and my shoulders. So, this is, so I think I've covered what are the signs, what the symptoms might be, and how you can help overcome it. And that's, another one is bracing for kids, especially. Even for adults, they do bracing. So they do rigid bracing. They do like they put a rod up your spine, on the outside of your spine, and then that helps hold you in position. Sometimes you even see teenagers walking around with a brace, outside brace that helps hold their head up and everything. And that's for chronic, like real. If it's anything above 10 degrees, it's considered scoliosis in terms of its curvature. Okay, abnormal curvature. Then it's scoliosis. What else might I have?
The bit I'd said, they said 3% of adolescents seem to have it, but most cases are mild.
Yeah. Okay, I think most cases are very mild. You do get the real evident ones when you see people and they look like they got that hunch on their back. And that's, if you look at their shoulders and their shoulder blade, you'll notice a scoliosis. What else? I touched on 80% of the causes are unknown, really. And you can also have developed scoliosis in the fetus, as a baby, before you're even born.
Probably easier.
Well, I mean, some babies, they just don't move inside the womb, and then they find themselves in a position, and that baby just doesn't really, it's a lazy baby, not every baby is active. And Laura, for example, our daughter, she was born with a kind of slightly crooked foot, the ankle. And when she was a baby, we did some physio work on it ourselves, Andrea and I. We helped just to massage and manipulate slightly. And when you look at her now, you hardly notice it. It's hardly there. It doesn't affect her in any way. So that's an example of how a child can be born with a slight crooked defect like that. And it's the same for the spine, because remember, when you're in the fetus, everything's soft, everything's malleable. So the discs, everything is still hardening, and it's becoming more rigid, and that's when it's easily manipulated into a defect. So I think that's about it, really. Just look at, if I can say how to, if you're experiencing any numbness in your legs, numbness and pain in your legs, go have somebody have a look at your hips as well. Look at your hips in the mirror, see if your hips are even. Take your hip bone, the process on your hips, and just line it up in the mirror for yourself and see if it looks like it's even or not. It could just be, it could be sciatica. It might be scoliosis. Who knows? But if you're experiencing numbness in your legs and pain, it's better to go see somebody in any case, and then find out what it might be. But that's possibly one of them. And that's about it, I think, young man.
Is scoliosis, is it hereditary?
I don't think it's. I've never seen anywhere that it said it's hereditary. So not as far as I've never read anywhere that it says it's not. That I can recall, but I don't ever remember seeing that it is hereditary. Now,
I mean, can you thinking of hereditary, but think of the other thing as well. Can an injury cause the problem?
I think because it goes back to the non-structural one. I mean, or the non-structural version of scoliosis. If you've had an injury and it's not looked after, and you've got spasms, and that's causing a lot of pull on the spine, then yes, I believe this is what happened with me with scoliosis. It was from playing rugby, and it was just excessive force on my spine all the time. I had picked up an injury. I never had it looked at. I just, I just worked through the injury. As I said, when I was playing rugby at school one day. How's this? I mean, this is how life used to be in South Africa. So I was playing rugby at school on our main field, okay, and it was a competitive match against another school, and we were right in front of the main grandstand at our school, and I ran into a ruck. So anybody that doesn't know rugby, a ruck is basically like when you've got one guy runs into a tackle, guys try to hold up the guy that has got the ball. The defending team, they come rushing in, and the attacking team come rushing in. Now you've got this push and pull, right? Sometimes they stagnate. So what I used to do often is I used to come running in from a few meters out, and I'd like shove, and I'd like a number 8 would come and stick his head between the bodies and just push, and I'd create that little bit of momentum. And I did this in one game, and as I did this, the guy that got tackled was lying on the ground, and he stuck his boot up and it hit me straight clean in the forehead like this. So as I came running in, my head hit his boot. I got knocked out. I lay down on the ground. I don't know how, it must have been a matter of seconds. I got up, I look, and the play's down on that side of the field now, on the other end, and I just got up and I carried on running and I carried on playing.
Yeah.
Only years later, when I studied physiology and exercise science and all of this kind of stuff, and I started looking deep into the body, I realized I'd picked up, I had concussion, and I never knew that. And now
they do with it differently now, don't they? So
very differently. Yeah. I mean, I for years, if I did the slightest jump, my head would like jar. You know, if I ran into a tackle, my head would jar and it would hurt. And it was just like, get on with it. Nobody knew what it was. Nobody cared. You just get on with it and you carry on doing it.
Brain shake.
Yeah. So scoliosis, who knows when I actually did develop it, but I only found out in my 20s. And it's okay. It's not the worst condition for me. It's really not. I've learned to overcome many parts of it that can impact my life. But at the end of the day, it's worth knowing a little bit about it and being able to identify what the symptoms are. That you may have somebody in your life that fits that bill, and you can get them to go take a look at a physio chiropractor for themselves and identify if it is or not. Then they can start to work with it.
Absolutely.
But there's no ultimate cure for it unless they do some surgery at an early age, and that I think.
Yeah. Not nice.
Definitely not.
Well, having anything wrong with you is not nice. But
no, it isn't, is it?
Some things are a little bit more important than others, So.
True.
But
so that's scoliosis, folks.
Lovely. So, if anyone got any questions at all, please let us know. If we don't see them straight away, we will come back and answer them. If you like this video, then please like and share. Let someone else know, because they may say, "Oh, I might have that." So, but apart from that, I think we're done, aren't we?
I believe so. Yes. Yeah. I think we are.
Next week, what are we talking about next week? I did tell you already, didn't I?
Yeah, we decided earlier on today what we're going to talk about next week. It's a bit tongue in cheek.
Oh yeah, I've got it here, haven't I? Where is it?
I mean, it's tongue in cheek stuff.
Yeah. Well, we'll save it to next week because it's good.
You forgot to.
It's a bit of fun. So rather than something a bit more serious, it's a bit of fun. That'll give you. If you've got any challenges in certain areas, that'll give you a clue. So.
And if anybody has any suggestions that they would like us to talk about subjects, because it's easier for Paul and I to, go and do a bit of research and talk about it on this podcast than it is for you, perhaps time-wise, energy-wise, whatever resources to go and find out information about something but maybe you want to know about something more that we might be able to touch on for you. Share those ideas with us. Let us know so we have an idea that, our viewers want to hear something other than what we want to talk about. So share with us.
Well, I'm going off to have my 1 cup of coffee for the day. And then I'm going exercising and ordering a new pair of gloves from Amazon.
Very nice.
For my Reynolds. So,
Nice. Good
yeah,
for you.
lovely.
Good for you.
All
Yeah.
right, mate.
Fantastic.
And for everyone, have a fantastic weekend, and we will be back next Friday with the next episode. And we're back Wednesday as well with successcafe.tv if you're entrepreneurial. So, anyway, have a fantastic weekend. We'll speak to you soon. See you later.
Bye, everybody. Have a wonderful time.